chapter 4, 32 through 34. Now the whole group of those who believed were of one heart and soul, and no one claimed private ownership of any possessions, but everything they owned was held in common. With great power the apostles gave their testimony to the resurrection of the Lord Jesus, and great grace was upon them all. There was not a needy person among them, for as many as owned lands or houses sold them and brought the proceeds of what was sold.
All right. We've been doing sermons on stewardship this month, inspired by this Matthew West video called Do Something. Yeah, this is the fourth Sunday, thank the good Lord in heaven, that I'm finished with stewardship in September. You know, if that's a dangerous message to preach anymore, then I'm a brave preacher, because I've preached it 4 times this month, counting today. But today I think what I want to do is just sort of summarize what we've done, and maybe there's a new word for you at the end here, okay? But this is sort of where we've been this month. Stewardship in September, or what we've talked about, is simply caring for and sharing with one another and with the church. Caring for one another, caring for the church, sharing with one another, sharing with the church. No better way, I think, today to describe stewardship. So as we've talked this month, the first thing I think I want you to remember, and you can take this home and put it on your refrigerator. There may not be other teachings like this out there, because we're not after your last penny down here. Well, let me rephrase it. If you're down to your last penny, there's probably not a better place to invest it. I hope you're not there. But we're not trying to empty your bank accounts, any of you, and no matter where you are in your life of giving. But the first thing I want you to remember in terms of stewardship, in taking care of the church and taking care of each other, is take care of yourself. If you don't take care of yourself, you are not a partner. You're going to have a hard time being a partner in caring for others. There was this analogy they gave us ministers for self-care, okay? That if you're on an airplane and they give you instructions before you take off about what to do if the plane crashes, that's always comforting. Why do we have to have that talk before we take off? But they want you to know that if the plane develops problems, that in front of you, what do they tell you? There's going to be oxygen masks fall down. They want you to know that. And if that happens to you, when you get through screaming, pick the air mask up and put your oxygen mask on. And they stress this once in self-care. Put your own oxygen mask on first. Because if you're not breathing and healthy, you can't help someone else. Especially if you are a first responder. And if you're a Christian, man, you're some kind of first responder. If you want to be of help, take care of yourself. So the same thing goes for how the church can survive in terms of finance and in terms of energy and cooperation and participation. You got to take care of yourself first. If you have need, you're in the right place. We want to help meet need, but we need partners in helping meet that need. Never compromise your own budget to give to the church. Did you hear that? Never do that, because then you're not a partner, you're a point of ministry. We're looking for points of ministry, but you're not looking to remain a point of ministry. In your life, you're looking for a blessing. You're looking to advance. So we may start at that point together, but let's work toward becoming partners. Never compromise your own budget to make an offering to the church, but plan, budget, and grow. Don't say, I'm finished, I'll never be able to give to the church, I'm poor, it's the way it's going to be. Plan, budget, and grow so that you will have some left to share. It's not for us to expect the church or the government to feed the poor or the world or to meet the needs of the people in the congregation or the world, because the church depends on us, our participation, in order to be involved in that kind of ministry in the world. God works in the world when we work in the world. Now, that doesn't mean that if you don't have anything to give in terms of money that you've nothing to do. Remember Matthew 25. When Jesus says, you visited me when I was in prison. You gave me clothes when I was naked. You gave me something to eat when I was hungry. You provided for my health care when I was sick. Those are basic things that Christians are called upon to do. You can help through prayer. You can help through being present and available to people by simply showing up at the hospital or showing up at the home or in church. There are many ways, but God works in the world when we work in the world. Decide today what God is going to be like in the world that you are sent out into. Is God going to be lazy, slow to respond, more interested in God's own agenda? Or is God going to be generous, inclusive, and forgiving? God works in the world when we work in the world. So plan to grow and to have something left in your life, in your energy and in your resources to share with others. A life that one is lived without sharing is very isolated. Number 2, never give your church tithe to a special offering. Boy, that's easy for the preacher to say, but listen. It is our responsibility to fund our church. Now, I know from time to time we do things like, we have fundraisers. I'm glad that a lot of our fundraisers now are to help people, okay? But it works because you are giving and you're taking care of the utility bills and you're taking care of my salaries and the salaries of other people who serve here. And trust me, we have people who are very frugal stewards. I don't want to say they're tight, they're not. But we have people who watch and care about the expenses. Some of our people here don't have that typical answer of if everything goes up, we have to figure out how to get more money out of the folks here. We don't operate that way in leadership here. We talk about if things don't change, what can we give up? What are the to die for things that we have here? For example, if I have to preach for free, that might work out. But I might be working at IHOP on Sunday morning, so you might have to take care of some of the sermons for me. So we think things like that through. It's important to take care of the utilities, the upkeep of the building, including the salaries of your staff. And people don't generally get real excited about that, okay? But it is our responsibility. It's not the general public. It's not their worry if we have a building and air conditioning to meet and to pray in. It's not their worry if we have good preachers and teachers who lead us on paths of transformation. It's not their worry. It's ours. If we want it, we invest in it. If we don't want it, we don't invest in it. And if we have money, we invest money. And when we run out of money, we invest all the other things that it takes to make the church grow. Never give your church tithe, the money that you and the energy and the participation that you offer here, don't spend it all somewhere else until we have taken care of ourselves. And make a reasonable pledge and then keep it. It doesn't mean that we can't give money if we don't have a massive amount of money to give from. But make a reasonable pledge, whether it's money or time or energy or commitment, and then keep that pledge. Remember my story? I started out by saying I can give $10 a week, and that's all I can give. But I knew I could keep that pledge. So make a pledge and then keep it. And keep pushing forward in it. Number 3, never eat the last piece of chicken. This is just simple hospitality, folks. We are here to benefit others. Everyone. We are called here by God to benefit others. So in our lives of hospitality, we open our doors to others. The best seats in the house should be reserved for guests. The best parking places should be reserved for guests and for those who are physically or mobily challenged. The best in terms of what we have to offer to eat and to drink from should be there for our guests and for the poorest among us. Never, ever take, but share. Sharing is what it's all about, and all of us can do that. Everyone here can determine intentionally to share. Everyone has something to share, if in nothing else, choosing to let others be first. Choosing to let others be first in whatever our activity is, or in when we respond and when we give. Choosing to let others. I mean, remember what Jesus said, first is last, last is first. So when we struggle, we should struggle according to the teachings of Jesus. Not to be the first in line, but the last in line. Sharing and benefiting others. And number 4, this is a big one right here. Show up and participate. Churches grow from energy and excitement. Period. Church budgets grow from energy and excitement. Period. Church attendance grows from energy and excitement. Period. So the first thing you got to do is show up. You can't invite anyone else into this experience that you're having if you're not having this experience. And if the experience you're having isn't worth inviting somebody into, you're wasting your time asking them. They're not interested in that. But if you're having a real experience, if your life is reflecting that your walk with Christ is making changes in your life, it's making things happen. If you're excited about your fellowship at church, if you're excited about the challenges that you meet here, if you're excited about the things that your fellowship and your folks are doing in the community, that'll show up everywhere else. Including, first of all, you'll be here on Sunday. Now here again, this is a hard sermon to preach because I'm talking to the people who are here. But some of y'all are waiting on me to call the people that aren't here and talk to them too. And that's not my job. They didn't come here with me in the first place. They came here with you. And if they're not here today or didn't come back, that wasn't for me to figure out. It's not my mystery to solve. If there's something I need to be doing, you need to tell me. If staff needs to make a response, you need to communicate to us. But showing up and participating, say to others, where are you? Where are you? Have no idea how important it is for you to be there singing on Sunday morning. Well, I don't have anything to offer. I don't have money. I don't understand the sermons. I don't really have friends down there. I don't know. Things have changed. It's very important to be here singing and praying and growing together. Churches grow from that kind of energy. Churches grow and disciples grow when we practice our faith. Faith is a practice. Churches grow when you show up, and you grow when you show up. If the church offers a Bible study and you say, I don't know much about the Bible, then why aren't you in Bible study? Again, I'm preaching to the choir. I see a lot of you here on Sunday mornings and on Sunday nights. But where are your friends? Churches and disciples grow when they participate, when they show up. You know, did you look at that, the thing from Deuteronomy that we read today about tithing? Did you notice something about that? It said to take your tithe. And it's talking to people who are mostly farmers and they live in an early society here. Say, whatever you raised and whatever resources you've collected, take them to the place where God says to consume them. In other words, to the temple. And there, what did it say? Give it to the preacher, bless it, and then leave, right? Didn't say that at all. It said to bring your family with you and bring your friends with you and take it and give it there, and there in the presence of God with everybody that you brought and everybody that's there, sit down and have a great big meal. Wow. In other words, you should tithe to the church so that you have something to consume in the church. Is this making sense? I preached this about 15 years ago to a little different crowd, and they understood it. I said, y'all been doing this for years, because when we were all, in high school, we were a little underage. I'm confessing here. But it was easy. We say, hey, man, we're going to get a keg. And everybody threw in $5, and before long, we had money for 2 kegs and a bunch of red Solo cups. It was easy. And never, ever once did anyone say, here's my $5, I'm not coming, y'all go ahead. Everybody that gave $5 came and got a red Solo cup, and some of them were there the next morning. That is just kind of what Leviticus sounds like. Who among you would say, here's my offering to the church, I'm going home now? If you're not coming to Bible studies, if you're not growing in prayer, if you're not in prayer meetings, if you're not serving in some way in the life of the church, it makes me wonder, are you giving your tithe and then going home without eating? Are we not doing what we're being asked to do in Deuteronomy by showing up and consuming what we have brought? Take our resources, bring them together. And you know what? When I bring a little something, and you bring a little something, and everybody brings a little something, whoo, and somebody always brings fried spam, you know it? And then I've got to break the last piece of chicken rule. I'm always over there eyeing that last piece of fried spam. Somebody always brings it, and I love it. But we have to learn to show up and participate in the life of the church. I like this scripture from Acts, but you know what? I think we've let it scare us away because it doesn't sound like our culture. It doesn't sound like a good freedom and capitalist and free market kind of reading, because it had all this stuff on each end of it about nobody held any possessions. And at the end of it, it said, and if they did, they sold it all and they brought it all together. When you talk about that now, you can get a few hippies interested, but it's hard to get anybody that was born after 1969 interested in that kind of thought. And so I think we write it off and say, well, it was the early church. We don't live in that age anymore. Or they aspired to that but never reached it. But you know, we've been having these series of meetings on Thursday night. We've had 2 now, and we're going to be able to offer you places to serve in November when we have our annual recommitment dinner. And out of those meetings came some beautiful things, but this is one of them. By the way, we're calling that group now Do Something, after the youth have inspired us with the Matthew West song. But one of the things, this has become the mantra of that particular ministry: do something. And if you'll notice, they trimmed out all the stuff on each end that tells us how to do it and left us with the order to get it done. And God's grace was so powerfully at work in them all that there were no needy persons among them, period. I like that better, because the other way said that, you know, we all ought to go out and sell everything we own, and that's how we can get this done. And I somehow think that I'm not going to be able to help you build a very large congregation like that. But I do know this is not impossible. This is not telling us how to do it. It's saying that maybe that's how they got it done 2,000 years ago in another time, in another community. But here in your community, what do you need to do to make this a reality? And you know, there's a how-to right in here too. It's in one little bitty word: all. God's grace was so powerfully at work in some of them that there were fewer needy persons in that community than there were in the one down the street. I'll bet that's true. I'll bet a community where 20% of the people are active and doing stuff, that they've eliminated 20 or 25% of the need in that congregation. And I'll bet in a congregation where 50% of the people are fired up and full of God's grace in a powerful way, that they've eliminated 50 or 60% of need. But I would say that this suggests to me that when everyone is open to the movement of God's grace in their spirit, when we all start to think like Matthew 25, when we're looking for God's people and saying, where are they? Because I got something to give. Then when that happens, it says here that is so powerful and at work in all that there were no needy persons among them. Now, I don't think that this means that the church can pay everyone's expenses from month to month. Golly bum, we're having a hard time getting mine paid. and I'm saying that seriously. I'm sure things are going to improve, but y'all know that I need to pay bills too. But here's the thing. It's not about us paying each other's bills. It's about us growing, remember? It's about saying, I'm here today with need, and I want to take my life where it is. I want the church to help, and I want to keep moving one little bit forward, one little bit forward, one little bit forward. Because I want to become someone in ministry that has something to give back. You understand what I mean? That we are called upon to grow, to take care of our energy, our resources, so that we have something to give back. And when we receive people here, that is exactly how we ought to be. We ought to. The first thing you got to do is feed a hungry person. The second thing you got to do is either teach them and work with them, or take them home and feed them every day. I don't know which one of those things is right. It's a case-by-case study. There's not a blanket answer. But that's what we're looking at here. It is the charge to everyone to grow, to move forward, and to continue to be a part. Here's things that I want you to know that are going to happen here in less than 2 months. In October, you're going to get a pledge card, but as usual, we're not trying to beat anyone up for money. I want you to think about what areas that you could grow in. And I told you last week, if you're not someone who has a need to grow, if you're attending all the Bible studies and prayer meetings you can, and if you know that you're giving as your budget will allow, and you're taking care of yourself and your church, you may not need to increase this year. But I would dare say many of us can look around and say, maybe I could be in church more often. Maybe I could teach a class. Maybe I could attend a class for the first time. Maybe the pastor's been calling on me for a couple of years about eldership. Maybe I could serve for a couple of years. There's always ways to think about what God is calling us to in the new year. You're going to have a chance to respond to that. And there are 3 or 4 things that we want to offer as a congregation that came out of these meetings. One, we want everyone to know about our Samaritan's Purse, emergency relief funds. And that's what it is. It's not enough money to pay people's bills. It's an emergency relief fund of $50 that helps someone who's in a bind. But you know what? That's help today. You got to be looking ahead. And I'm always good about saying, what are we going to do next month? What are we going to do next month? The second thing I want people to know that we're going to offer is there are people here who have stepped forward to say, I have tools and I like using them. And I want to go help people. So we're trying to, we want to be able to communicate with folks. If you have home repairs, yard work, or things of this nature, there are people here who have time and skills that want to help. The third thing is that it appears that at times people might need a ride to church, and we thought we might start by forming a driving pool. People who would just say simply on Sunday morning, I'll be available once in a while so that we can share the load with each other. And there's another one too. Sean cooks breakfast by himself now every Sunday morning, and I'm going to tell you, historically speaking, that won't happen forever. If somebody doesn't find it within themselves to want to be involved in that ministry, we'll be eating at the drive-thru on our way to church very soon, because that's what happens. Okay, but we can save Sean. It's a Save the Sean campaign. Save Sean from burnout by just helping. Doing dishes after church. I'm going to dare you something. John and I do dishes, and it's a special time for me because we go to coffee every morning, and sometimes we don't talk, but we always talk at the dish sink. You know, it works like that. You sit across a meal with somebody, and you finally say, I don't remember when we've had a conversation, but boy, if you do the dishes with somebody, you'll pass the time, I'm promising. So steal that blessing from me. Come get it. Come get it. I dare you. You better be quick, because, man, when church lets down, it don't take John and me long at all. We're back there at the sink quickly because we like to go eat too, so we got to get out of here ourselves. And today, you won't have any trouble beating me there because the Cowboys play at noon, so we're not doing dishes till 4 today, John. We'll let them soak, baby. Let them soak. You see, there are opportunities to serve right here. There are ways to do it. And there are things to keep in mind if you want to be a good steward of all the resources God has entrusted you with, including this congregation, this church, this family of faith. So, to summarize it all, Do something by participating. Come, pray and study and grow with us here. Do something by serving. Plug in and pray and work and give. And the last of all, well, I'll save this for last. Do something by finishing what you start. If you make a commitment to give $10 a week, give $10 a week. If you have to go pick up soda bottles to make it, don't commit to $100 a week if you can't do it, please. If you make a commitment to teach a class, finish the class. I've told teachers when they said nobody showed up, you hear me again? If you're going to class and you don't show up, man, you're hurting that teacher. Because what I tell them, teach the chairs till they come back. Teach the chairs. We have the most well-informed chairs in this building. Finish it. Finish it, you know. Don't start a job and go, you know, I got this far. Somebody will come along behind me and finish it because I did a good deed. I got it started. No, you didn't. You know who's going to finish it? Me on Wednesday in the middle of the week. And you know why I'm going to finish it? Because I'm the only employee down here on Wednesday. And if I don't do it, it won't get done because you started it and you didn't finish it. And what are you saying? You're saying, well, you don't have anything else to do anyway. You might as well finish it. You got all week long. I ran out of time on Sunday. I started it, but I didn't have the time to finish. But you'll finish for me because you don't have anything else to do. Your time isn't worth anything. You work 2 hours a week. And if it's not me, the preacher, who is it that you're expecting to finish it? I know who it is. It's old so-and-so that's been coming here for years and don't do anything. I know they don't give anything and they don't do any dishes and they slip in and slip out if they're even here. That's who you're picking on. But really, you're picking on yourself. You know, I tell kids all the time, you need to finish high school because it'll build within you this resolve and understanding that, you know what, I can finish big tasks. That I can get to the end of it, even if it's a struggle. You got to learn to finish things. Finish them, even if you don't like it. If you start it, finish it. And if you're not going to finish it, start it anyway and then finish it. Oh, mercy. The most beautiful part of this is that God's grace is what brings things about so powerfully at work in all of us. I hate these messages about stewardship and money and things, but you know, God is at work in all of our lives, in every aspect of our lives. So let's be very intentional as we move toward November and Advent and the beginning of a new year together. And may God's grace be so powerfully at work in everyone in this congregation that we can't find need among us. All thanks be to God. Amen. Will you pray with me?